So what I'm going to do with this course is this is basically an overview of theory for the strings and placed along a single string. Unlike when you go to conservatory, they always ask you to play piano. So most theory courses that you take are piano centric with white and black keys, and guitarists and banjos and mandolins are kind of left having to learn piano. So the first thing I wanted to give you were some mnemonics for people who don't remember the names of their strings. I didn't know if we'd have any of these kinds of folks here tonight, but I'm big on mnemonics because it's kind of fun. So a nice guitar mnemonic going from the 6th string to the 1st string. Elvis ate dynamite. Goodbye, Elvis. So it's kind of a fun way to remember the names of the strings, or if you have any students or friends who can't remember the anyways. All right, mandolin, G-D-A-E, good dogs always eat. I'm big on pets, right? 5-string banjo in the G tuning. Gosh darn good banjo day. I guess you got to say that with an accent, right? Tenor banjo, or I guess mandola, same thing. Cats give dogs anxiety. Ooh, that's a good one to remember, right? Irish tenor, again, it's the same as the mandolin, so good dogs always eat. And then ukulele, for you, Yenna, if you can't remember the name of your strings, great cats eat anchovies. All right, there we go. Okay, so that's just a little background material. I need to hide our pictures here. Oh, there we go. All right, then I wanted to give you a visual picture of music theory. I'm going to turn, am I going to turn my chat on? No, I can't. So what I think about music theory is that it is a multi-level system. And at the bottom is the chromatic scale. The chromatic scale are all of the notes that are available to us, represented by the frets that we have. We have 12 different tones in our system of frets before it starts repeating itself. Out of the chromatic scale, we're going to use, and the chromatic scale we'll deal with this week. Out of the chromatic scale, we have various formulas that help us derive major scales, minor scales, modes, and the pentatonic scales. We'll get into what these formulas are as we go along. And then the next higher level, and the scales make our melody. So our scales are linear. I think of them as horizontal if you're trying to put some kind of name to the abstraction of music. The chords are derived from the major and minor scales by another formula, and the chords are vertical in nature. We can play them as arpeggios and make them a little more horizontal, but basically how we conceive of them are vertical structures. So when we make a construct in music, it's helpful to think of this picture, and you're, for the most part, always making a formula from the bottom to the top. And that'll be a consistent thing that we look at as we go from deriving chords, scales, and then deriving chords. So then what happens, our keys are determined by what note a scale is started on. That is the key note or the tonic, and affects both the scales and the chords working together. So in our system of Western music, although you can play simple melody just as melody, we love to work with the interaction of the melody working horizontally at the same time the chords are played vertically. And these two actions working together is what gives Western music a lot of its interests. So I'm going to stop here before we go on and see if we have any questions. Let me stop the share. I'm going to turn on the chat just so I have the chat going. Any questions so far? Are we all good with that? All good. Okay, on we go. share screen. Here we go. So the next thing we need to look at is our musical alphabet. Our musical alphabet is the basis of our music theory, giving names to certain pitches and providing structure to the relationships between sounds. And this is actually quite clever because why? Because music is really an abstract art form. And it took quite a while to get some sort of system in place to be able to talk about it and to be able to control it in the way we Western music types like to control music. The alphabet runs from A to G, and then the pitches repeat themselves going higher and higher until you're outside of the range of hearing, or lower and lower until you're outside of the range of hearing. So the way I structure this is I'm going to look at the musical alphabet as running from A to A or through one octave. Technically, there are 7 notes, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then it starts to repeat. But it's really helpful to work within an octave, especially as we look at our strings. Now notice this alphabet that I've written out, and that it is not evenly spaced. So we get A, a wide space, B, C, a wide space, D, E, narrow space, etc. This is extremely important, especially when we're looking at our strings or anything in music, to understand this pattern. And as we go, we'll deal with this. So our first exercise is to say the letter of the alphabet from A to A. Now, this is really easy to do because we've been singing the ABC song since we were children. All right. So, but musicians need to be able to think forwards and backwards because melodies go up and down. And as you work with the logic of music, the theory of music, trying to improvise or trying to write an actual tune, you've got to be able to think forward and backwards. All right. So let's just together say the alphabet forward. Here we go. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. Right. I'm going to do this 3 times. And I know you all know how to say the alphabet, but this is also part of a practice memorization thing I've got going on. And you who have studied with me before know this. I call it Michael's rule of 3. If you can say something or do something 3 times in a row without error, then you've got it. So when you practice, what I like to do is play something 3 times, space out for 30 seconds, play something 3 times, space out for 30 seconds, and play something 3 times. All right, so let's just say the alphabet again and stare at it looking at the spacing. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. All right, so now we're going to say the alphabet backwards. Now, all right, well, let's just try it. It's written out here, so you have a little help. Eventually, over this next week, I want you to memorize it. So, okay, here we go. A, G, F, E, D, C, B, A. Yeah, anybody find that confusing? Yeah, let's try it again. A, G, F, E, D, C, B, A. So my theory is if they had made us play or made us say, or our children actually, because we're probably too old, most of us, if they had made our children say the alphabet backwards from G to A, we'd have a nation of musicians because they'd have the skill to be able to do this. And we'd also have a little one-up when we're having to talk to the state police under certain conditions. No, I didn't say that, but so to learn this, I like to take these big patterns and break them down into digestible clumps of 3 or 4 bits of information. And why is that? Because our short-term memory can only hold 4 plus or minus 1 or 2 pieces of information. So when you're trying to memorize something, a bit of music or this alphabet backwards, break it down into 3 or 4 bits and repeat that and make that into a chunk. And then you'll put the chunks that you get together, and then it's easier to look at. All right, so let's look at this ABC pattern. And I think this is really important, the way the spacing works. It's the concept of what I call a trichord, or a 3-note pattern, where you have a wide space and then a short space. So ABC. So let's just say it, ABC, and stare at that and get that in your mind. All right, ABC, ABC, A long space, B, C short space. A, C, C.
A, B, C.
So you want to stare at this and do this at home. Now we take the next bit of the alphabet and look at this. It's the same spacing. It's another trichord that's exactly the same shape as the first trichord. This is going to have some implications for some of the other constructs that we make in music theory later on, where we have notes that are grouped in similar spacings. So we have ABC in this spacing, and then we have D, E, F. So let's just say D, E, F and look at the spacing. D, E, F. D, E, F. Okay, good. And then the last bit of the scale is not a trichord. It's just 2 notes, but it has the wide spacing. G, A. Let's go ahead and say it. G, A.
G,
A.
A.
Let me see if someone's trying to, let me see if Katie's trying to get in here. I don't see her. I'm going to stop the share for a second. All right, well, I'm just going to leave it. Okay. Any questions so far? No. All right, here we go. On we go. Now, let's put all of these patterns together. So we get A, B, C, D, E, F, and then G, A. Okay? All right, now let's take it, let's memorize the scale backwards. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the patterns that we had and do them backwards. So the first pattern is AG.
AG.
Right? AG.
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 All right, then the next pattern down is the trichord backwards. So now we get short space, long space, FED,
D.
FED, FED.
FED.
Okay, great. And now we have the last pattern, CBA, short space, long space, CBA, CBA, CBA. Okay, so now let's put the whole alphabet together backwards. And if you can, try to do it in your mind. If you can't, look at this. The object is to memorize this so you can go forward and backward without stumbling. All right, here we go. A, G, F, E, D,
B,
C, B, A. Good, let's try that again. A, G, F, E, D, C, B, A. Okay. I'm going to stop here for a second. I'm just worried about where Katie is because they were. I'm going to send her a quick email. Okay, back to Zoom. All right, so let's go on to the next little bit here. Any questions so far? This is probably review for a lot of you, but I wanted to start at the absolute beginning. Okay, here we go. Where'd it go? There it is. Okay, so the musical alphabet is what we call a diatonic scale in music theory. The term diatonic means using every letter name in a scale. So major and minor scales are diatonic because they use every letter name. You can't leave a letter name out. But a 5-note pentatonic scale is not technically a diatonic scale. It's a hybrid scale made out of a diatonic scale by leaving a couple notes out. But we'll talk a little bit about that. So now what I'd like to do is pick up your instrument and we'll start to place this diatonic scale over your G string so you can see the pattern of music. And this is what it's going to look like when we do that. Okay. So here you see, well, we'll go down here and we'll look at it down here because I've analyzed it out. So in my little system here, this black line is the nut and the other vertical lines represent the frets. And the double line here is the octave, where you, on most instruments, you have a double dot, okay? So what we're gonna do is on your instrument is we're gonna go up to the 2nd fret on the G string. Does everybody know where your G string is? Right. So, and what I'd like to do is we're gonna play the first tri chord. So what happens here is the reason there is a wide space in my little alphabet at the beginning is because there are actually 2 frets between A and B. So we get A, miss a fret, then B, and then C. Can we all do that together? Here we go. Ready? Play. A, B, C. Does everybody have that? Or are there any questions about that? Okay. All right. So now what happens is we're going to play the next tri chord, D, E, F, but it's separated from the first one by 2 frets. So you're going to go A, B, C, then you're going to go up 2 frets to D, and then you're going to try the next tri chord where you skip a note, D, E, F, right? D, E, F, right? And then the next thing that's going to happen is we're going to go to our 2-note pattern. So, and that's 2 frets away at G, and then 2 frets for the A. Okay. Any questions about that? Does everybody see what's going on? We'll play that together, and it's extremely important that you see the tri chord of 2 frets, 1 fret, separated by 2 frets, 2 frets, 1 fret, and then 2 frets, 2 frets. This is going to be an important way of thinking about scales when we get into major and minor scales. A little bit different pattern, but let me go over to the screen share and we'll do it again. Get rid of that. Let me get rid of that. Okay, so let's play the whole scale together, and let's just play it. So start at your 2nd fret on the G string on the A note, and let's play. At this point, just play. You don't have to say the name of the note, but let's go. Ready? Play. A, now B, E, C, D, 2 frets to E, then F, 2 frets to G, and A. And what I would suggest is you just use your index finger to slide up and down for this at this point. I'm not worrying about fingerings at all. So let's do that again. This is our basic musical alphabet. Start on A, ready, go. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. Okay, that's fine. So I'd like you to memorize this for next time. So if you need to, I have this little exercise here, play ABC 3 times, then D, E, F 3 times, then E, F, and then put them all together. Let's see. So now what I'd like to do is play that alphabet backwards. Oops, right here. Can everybody find the A that they stopped on? Right? So let's play it backwards. Here we go. A, go. A, then G, F, E, B, C, B, back to A. Yeah, can we do it again from A? Here we go. Ready, go. A, G, F, E, D, C, B, A. Now what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to say the name of the note while you're playing it. Can you all do that? Here we go. Ready, play. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. Good. Now we say the name of the note backwards as you play. Confusing, but you got to be able to do it. Here we go. A, G, F, E, D, C, B. And better yet, yes, sing it as we go along. Any questions so far? That's all straightforward. Everybody can do that. Okay, on we go. Okay, so now we get into the definitions from music theory, from traditional music theory. So we're related. Can you stop playing for a second? We're measuring our distances on a fretboard. So instead of from keys. So the distance from one fret to another is called a half step. And the distance of 2 frets is called a whole step. So when we look at our little scale that we played, this is how we're looking at it. So you get a whole step from G to A where we start our scale, right? Whole step. And let's just play together and just notice what's happening. So we get whole step up to A. And then from A to B, you have to think whole step. B to C, half step. From C to D is a whole step. From D to E is a whole step. E to F is a half step. F to G is a whole step. G to A is a whole step. Is everybody okay with that, or we want to do that again going up?
Okay.
Anybody? Okay. All right, so let's go backwards and look at the same thing. All right, so we start on A. A. Now we go down a whole step. G, whole step. F, half step. So F to E is the half step. Right here. And now to D. Whole step to C. Half step to B. A. Okay, so here's an important note. I should have put a little asterisk by this, but all of the formulas for making scales and chords will be figured by the distances between notes, right? And that's what we've been doing with these half steps and whole steps. We're figuring the distance between G and A, for example, or A and B, or B and C. So it's really useful to keep an eye on where the half and whole steps lie in whatever scale you're using. And later, how many half steps make up longer distances between notes. When we deal with chords, there will be longer distances than whole steps and half steps. So there'll be a number of them. So in session 2 of this class, next week, we'll start dealing with formulas made out of half and whole steps. Okay, so as you memorize the musical alphabet and have played it on the instrument, you found that there were 2 places where there are naturally occurring half steps in the system, between B and C and E and F, right? And this is where a lot of music, first crack at it, music students get confused, remembering when we start talking about chromatics and the sharps and flats between notes, where those natural half steps lie. So I have a little mnemonic. Will and I have a mnemonic for you. Will, are you ready? She's on the back of the couch there. So the mnemonic I like to use is this: BC, big cats eat fish, EF, right? Big cats eat fish. And that helps you remember where the naturally occurring half steps are, okay? Thank you, Willa. That was very entertaining. All right. All right, so the word chromatic in music refers to the notes that are not contained in the musical alphabet. So we'll use the chromatics to name the frets between the musical alphabet, except for B and C and E and F, where the half steps leave no room for a note in between, right? So let's go back up here. So between here and here, there's a note that's not named. BC, there's no place for a note that's not named. There's a place there. Anywhere there's a whole step, you can use a place for chromatic. So now here's another asterisk that I think is going to be important. Think of the chromatics in music as functions. Don't think of them as a place first. Think of the place that you're going to as a result of a function. That is something being done to one of the alphabet letters that result in a shift of 1 or 2 frets or half steps, either up or down from the original note. Okay, so that's how you get to a place, by altering one of the alphabet notes. So again, this may be review for you, but maybe not. These symbols are the chromatics. The sharp raises a note 1 fret or half step, right? So the pound sign or hashtag, actually it's a little bit different because in music, the symbol is canted. You can see the right hand upper parallel is a little higher, and these are slanted. So when I use the keyboard sharp, you'll notice that it brings it back down as if it were a hashtag. A flat is a lowercase b. It lowers the note 1 fret or half step. Oh, typo. A natural. This comes from a type of German H. Originated this symbol. The natural cancels a sharp or a flat and restores the note to its original place. So that's how you get rid of a sharp or flat. You put one of these symbols on, and it puts it back to the alphabet note. So you can, in theory, make a note go 2 half steps. And to do that, you use a double sharp or a double flat. So this X symbol is a double sharp. And we probably may not use this in this course, but I wanted you to see them anyways in case you run across it. Double sharp. You know what? that should say a double sharp raises a note 2 half steps or frets. My made some errors there. Okay, a double flat note lowers the note 2 frets or half steps. And then a double natural is used to cancel a double sharp or double flat. So if you see one of those applied, one of these double flats applied, to cancel it and bring it back to pitch, you use the double natural. Okay. Any questions about that?
Yeah.
Yep, Barry.
So would a double sharp raise an A to a B?
Correct. It sounds just like a B, but there are certain places where the logic of music theory, when you're looking at a note on the page, or you're dealing with a certain key, that on the page it will look like A double sharp, but to your ear it will sound like B. Within the context of the piece, you will be in a certain key, and it will sound like a raised B logically. So I know it's confusing, but to make the theory, the logic of music work, we need these symbols.
Okay.
And you'll notice that the scale is not symmetrical. So when we start making out the scales and whatnot, there are certain things that we have to manipulate to make them work logically. But that's a great question. So the answer is yes.
Okay.
A double sharp is B. A double flat is,
Goes down to
yeah. So
B to A. B to A.
B to A, or A double flat would be G,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Does everybody understand that? Yeah, okay. Good. On we go. So to generate the chromatic scale from our musical alphabet, the names of the places between the diatonic letter names will change depending on whether you're going up the scale or coming down. And that's because of the sharp as a function and the flat as a function. If you use A sharp, you're raising the A. If you use B flat, you're lowering it. So we take the initial tri chord that I gave you, and going up, we have A, and then that place between B, we'll use a sharp to raise that A to A sharp. So we'll call that fret A sharp, and then that brings us to B, and then it goes to C because there's already a half step. Can we all play that and just say that together? Here we go. A sharp, B, C. One more time. A sharp, B, C. Do you all understand that we got that place between A and B named as A sharp because we're going up, right?
Yeah.
Now let's do the little tri chord going down. And in this case, that same place where there was an A sharp, we'll have to call B flat because we're coming down. So we alter this B to make that place call B flat. Ready? Start on the C. Ready? Start on C. Here we go. C, B, flat, A. Right? Again. C, B, B flat. All right, so let's go up and then back down. And so when we go up, we have to call this A sharp. When we come down, we call it B flat. Ready? Here we go. Start on the A and go up. A sharp, B, C. What goes up must come down. C, B, B flat, A. Good. Any questions about that? So the relationship between A sharp and B flat is called an enharmonic equivalent. And that's the same for Barry when you asked me about A double sharp and B is an enharmonic equivalent. They sound the same, but they have a different name depending on how you're looking at it.
Huh.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
And this is why, because it's not really a place. I mean, it is a place, but it's a place that we hold open for some kind of manipulation of the alphabet. So here we go. Any place in the diatonic scale, that is, diatonic means A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, that there is a wide space or a whole step distance, there's a place for a chromatic. So here's our chromatic scale. Let's play it up together. All right, so we start on A. A sharp, B, C. Now we can put a C sharp because there's a whole step. C sharp, D, E sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A. All right, everybody got that? Now we're going to go backwards, and I've written it this way so you don't have to start over here. So we're going to start here and go down. A flat, G flat, F, E flat, D flat, C. Now it goes to B, B flat, A. Good. Okay. Let's do that again. Ascending and descending. All right. Here we go. A
Sharp.
B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A. Now we go the descending. Ready? A flat, G, G flat, F, E, E flat, D, C, B, flat, A. So for next week, what I'd like you to be able to do is be able to say and play that forward and backward from your mind, from your head, without looking at this, right? Because from this, we're going to use your mind to generate the major scales using this as a base. So you really you need to know this.
Okay.
All right. Any questions so far? No. Okay. Let's go over to the next little bit. Playing the chromatic scale here. All right, we already did that basically. So I'd like to go over to fingering considerations on the instrument here. So when gypsy jazz players or players who play really fast, here, let me stop for a second. When gypsy jazz players, somebody wants to play really fast scale, what they do is just slide the index finger up and make the pick go really fast. I don't have my pick here, but when we play on guitars, banjos, mandolins in a slower, more controlled way, what we do is we have fingerings that we use for to get up and down the scale using 1, 2, 3, and 4, or combinations of 4 fingers or combinations of 3 fingers. So let me show you these so you can actually use these under actual playing conditions. Okay. Let's go back to the screen share. actually, before I share, let's just do a little technical exercise. I can't get out of the share without, there we go. All right, so anywhere on your G string, what I'd like to see you do is play the open G, and then you're going to play the first finger with the first fret, second finger with the second fret, third finger with the third fret, and then the pinky finger on the fourth. And leave the fingers behind down. So let me see if I can get a close-up shot here. So you get first finger comes down, it stays there, third finger, and then the pinky finger. Right. So do you find you can do that on your mandolin, Al? Yeah. Okay. And you can do that on your ukulele, Yenna? Yeah. Yes. Okay. All right. So then what happened? When we go to the next position, what's going to happen is this. So we go open, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then this index finger stays on the string, and what it's going to do is you're going to lift these 3 fingers and you're going to slide that index finger along the string to the 5th fret. That's your tactile reference point, the slide from 1 to the 5th fret. Okay, let's just try that. Slide back and forth from the 1st fret to the 5th fret. All right. Okay. So now let's play G, A, B, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, and then to C, and just stop there. Okay, here we go. Together, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, and now you slide your index finger up to C. Okay, one more time. Let's do that. Start on the open G, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, slide up to C. Everybody good with that? All right, so now we start at C and we replicate that motion. So we go C, C sharp, D, D sharp, and then we slide that index finger from the 5th fret to the 9th fret. That is our glue. That's the tactile reference point, is that index sliding from 5th fret to 9th fret. So what you want to do to practice that is just practice sliding with that index from 5th fret to the 9th fret so you know where it is. Okay. All right, so let's start on C on that 5th. And let's go ahead and play that bit of chromatic scale. So we get C, D sharp, D, D sharp. Now slide your index finger up to E. Yeah, did that work okay? Yeah. Let's try that again. Go back to C. Here we go. C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E. Okay, make sure you're at the 9th fret. All right, and then to go to the octave, we're going from G to G now. I should have pointed that out, but so the next bit of the octave will be open 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you're there. Okay, let's do it. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. All right, so do that again. E, F, F sharp, G. You have that, Richard? You okay? All right. So now what I'd like to do is we're going to do the entire scale. This is a chromatic scale over 1 octave, starting on our open G and ending on our G at the 12th fret. Okay. All right. Here we go. Start on G. Go. G,
G, G sharp,
A, A sharp, E.
E,
Slide your index finger up to C. D sharp. Slide your index finger up to E, E, F, F sharp, G. Yeah, good. Let's do that one more time. Michael's rule of three, don't you know? If you can do it 3 times, you got it. Ready? On the G, go. G,
G, G sharp, A sharp,
B, slide up, A, E, F, G. Good. All right. Any questions? So let's talk to what goes up must come down, right? So let's talk about how we're going to get down. So basically, we're going to use that same logic of using your index finger as the tactile reference point. So what we're going to do is from this high G, all of your fingers are down. So we're just going to play and peel the fingers away. 4, 3, 2, 1. When we get down to that E, you're going to leave that E down and you're going to slide it down to the 5th fret, E. And then what happens is as you get there, the other 3 fingers will come down in sort of simultaneously. Let me show you that. So here's the E, and then I shift that down, index down to the C, and as it gets down to the C, the pinky finger then comes down to the E flat. But this finger sliding from the C is what gives you your tactile reference point. So let me just demonstrate that one more time. G, G flat, F, E. Here we slide down, E flat, D, D flat, C. So let's try that together. 4 fingers down with your pinky on the high G there. Okay, here we go. G, G flat, F, E. Now slide your index finger down to the C and bring your pinky finger to the E flat. G. All right. Let me just, I'm going to change instruments here just for a second. Right, because the same thing happens on a mandolin. All right. So here I'm on this string on a mandolin, which is, wow, same as a ukulele. Here. So we're going to start up here again on the G, double dot. Ready, go. G, G flat, F, E. Slide your index finger down. E flat, D, D flat, D. Good. Now to get to the next lower position, this index finger is going to slide to the 1st fret. And as it slides to the 1st fret, 2, 3, and 4 come down. So it goes down to B. All right. So we get C, B, B flat. All right. Can we try it again? C. So the index finger is on C. C. Then you slide your index finger back. B. Flat G. Any questions about that? Okay, so let's start from the tippy top. Start from the G, and then we'll put the whole thing together here. And this is how we play our chromatic scales. All right, ready? Go. G, G flat, F, E, slide down, E flat, G, flat, C, first position, B, E flat, A flat, G. Ah, there you go.
Yeah. Okay.
Good. Okay, so there are some other ways of doing this as well. Some mandolinists, violinists, and some guitarists play in increments of 3 fingers. So but the idea is the same. You get open 1, 2, 3, slide the index up 1, slide the index finger up, and that for some people who have never developed pinky facility, or just don't want to, then that 1, 2, 3 way of doing the chromatic scale. All right, I'd like to take this last, unless there are any questions, I'd like to take this last little bit of time and talk about how to fold these scales over on our instruments so that it's more useful, because instead of always playing straight up and down a string like we did today, the idea of a stringed instrument is that it's folded over, right? So, okay, so guess what we'll do is, let me talk about, we'll go over to screen share. And in the screen share that I've given you, there's a whole bunch of stuff on fingering considerations. So, where is it? Okay. All right, so the first thing I've got is mandolins and tenor banjos, so that Al, we're looking at this here on whatever page that is, of holding the chromatic scale across the strings. So the first exercise is a system of fifths. And what happens here, let me just explain this. So this is your lower string, that's your G string. And so what happens is, when we fold this over, we play up the G string until the note gets duplicated on the next open string. So the duplicated note is at the 7th fret, right, Al? And it's a D.
Yep.
What we would do is play up this scale: G, D sharp, A sharp, B, D, D sharp. Now, instead of playing the D here, right, what you're going to do is you're going to play the D at the open string and continue to go there. And your hand goes back down. D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G. Okay? You understand what I did, Al?
Yes. Yes.
Let me go over to, and we'll talk about the ukulele last, because that's a little more confusing, but let me go over to the guitar. So on the guitar or a banjo, we don't have any banjoists here other than me tonight. So the note is duplicated at the B. So we get G, G sharp, A sharp, B. And then that B becomes your second string, right? Richard, you know that? Yeah. Okay, so on this string, you're only going to get G, G sharp, A A sharp, and then it folds over to the B there, and you continue that up. C sharp, G, D sharp. And then on the guitar, of course, once you reach the E at the 5th fret, and you're familiar with that pattern. Okay, good. Let me go over and deal with ukulele, because that's a little bit different. Oh, I don't have my ukulele here tonight. It's over at the office. I thought it was going to snow, so I didn't bring it here. But I can show you what's happening. So, anyways, we'll just do it from here without the sound. But so Yenna, for you, what happens is you're gonna, I'll have to send you a new one here, a new chart. But what happens for you is your note on your 4th string is G, correct? So you get G. So you play your G. Can you put your sound on for a minute, Yenna? Can I put that on for you?
Should be in the lower left corner of your screen.
See the little microphone that has that little X through it, or a little cross through it, a little red microphone. Just hit.
Put your cursor in the lower left corner of your screen.
Do you see it? You know what? We're not going to worry about it. Yenna?
I got it.
You got it. Yahoo. Okay. There you go. So Yenna, for you,
Yeah.
the ukulele's kind of confusing. It's like a 5-string banjo where you have the high string on, the whole other side of the instrument, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So what happens is that's a G. So you're going to play G and then G sharp. And then the next highest note is the 1st string open.
What do you mean? I don't like it.
Because the first
G
G
sharp.
and then all the way over on the other side of the ukulele is where that A is.
A is here.
Yes.
Yeah.
So to make the chromatic scale work from that G, if you're going to fold it over, you have to realize that you get G, G sharp, and then you have to go all the way over here to A.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. And then if you were going to continue it on up from there.
Oh, I see. You sent me one, and yeah, now I see it. Okay,
Yeah,
I got it.
I sent you another.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. And so that's how the fingering is going to work for across the strings. And I mean, there are some other things that we can look at on the ukulele.
Okay.
But that's how it works.
Thank you. Do you like my ukulele?
Hold it up again. Let me see.
Oh.
I don't think I ever saw that one, did I? Oh, that's beautiful. There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a Fender. It's got a Fender.
Yeah, it's a Fender.
Can you plug it in?
I can, yeah.
Aha, rock and roll. I knew that. I knew that about you, Yenna. So anyways, that concludes the basic stuff that I wanted to cover this week. Next week, we're going to start making major scales and figuring out keys. And it'd be really helpful for you if you practice this chromatic scale and be able to think forward and backwards and be able to say it. It's so hard to say it backwards because we're just not.
A plus, yeah.
We just don't do this. Yeah, A, G. And it helps if you think about the little patterns that I gave you: A, G, F, E, D, C, B, A. And then in chunks. It's not this whole long, oh, I can't, it's like trying to remember somebody's phone number. Oh, they gave me that phone number, but I can remember 4 numbers, and then I start going, I better write that down really fast before it goes away.
I sometimes get this with the A and the G. I sometimes reverse them.
Yeah, it's very common.
You know,
And especially if you're trying to like, oh, the chromatic scale backwards, remember the alphabet backwards, how
Yeah.
the chromatics work,
Chromatic Scale.
and then where the half steps lie. It's just, you're getting to have like 4 things that you have to remember.
yeah.
To memorize that. So, anyways, questions, observations, input? No. All right.
That's very good.
Good.
I really enjoyed it.
Good. I'm glad. I'm glad.
I didn't know about the notation between the A sharp and the B flat, going up the scale versus going down again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and for some reason, I don't know, a lot of people or instrumentalists or whatever, when you learn theory, sometimes you don't learn about functions. They teach it as if it were a place.
Yeah.
I think it's really, really helpful to think of these chromatics as a function, because when you start getting to higher levels of music theory where you're having to use these symbols or ideas to modulate, move into a new key area, or even just hint at moving into a key area, you're manipulating the notes with these, and it's really helpful to know which way you're going, and then what each chromatic that is applied implies in terms of where you're going or what they're doing. So.
And I think with the common way of teaching an instrument, for example, I learned as a violin as a kid. I learned about B flat before I learned about A sharp, because a scale with a single flat, you learn that before you do one that has an A flat in it. And the same with, so the common things are B flat, E flat, and F sharp.
Right. That's
and the reverse is much further down the road. You don't.
They teach the scale first and the major scales first, and not the chromatic scale, so you don't know where it comes from. So, anyways, that's why I went back and just went from the absolute beginning, and now we'll build layers upon that.
I think the point that it's a change, a move up or move down is really significant, because I never thought of it that way.
The function, yes.
The function, yeah.
The function, yeah.
And this has been really helpful. I've known how to do all this for quite a while. I haven't had the understanding that you have given.
Oh, good.
And it's really because you're introducing this, framing it as a plucked string instrument. And that is really helpful, because I have only learned from piano players.
Yeah, and to try to transfer a pianistic approach to a fretboard approach is really difficult.
Well, it's a cognitive thing for me, and it's like, whoa, this finally makes sense.
I'm glad. And then the other thing that people find confusing is the idea of how these strings are folded over to make the matrix that is the plucked string instrument. Now, all of us have different tunings, so the matrix is a little bit different, but the idea is the same.
I hope you'll talk a lot more about this folded over notion. I've never heard that word used before, and I'm very excited by it, because I think conceptually this could really help me.
Good.
Fold it over.
Yeah, and it will help you when you start to do both scales and the chords, because it's different levels of folding over and how to conceive of things both vertically and horizontally. It's just, it's a joy, and it's kind of like I don't know, for me, the fingering has been like a chess game. That's the kind of thing I think about when of course, I came out of a classical music background, a classical guitar background, so trying to figure out fingerings and on the guitar, for example, that first string E can be found, that pitch can be found in 5 different places. Or 6 if you start using harmonics, and it's like, how do you choose? How do I choose which note I'm going to use and why, etc. So, and hopefully framing this type of theory will help you make choices. It's really non style specific. You can use it for anything. So,
yeah, well, this is good.
I'm not
Yeah.
sure, Michael, I'm not sure I fully appreciate the going down and the going up. Let's say you have the going down part here, C to B flat to A.
Yes. Mhm.
And let's say those 4 notes were in a measure.
Yes.
See, and then so the B would have to be flatted. Does that mean that by the staff you have a B or the flat where the B is?
No, these chromatics do not happen in a key signature. These, when they're used in music, the key signatures are determined by what happens next week.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. I'll go along with that.
It's a whole different function. All
Okay.
this stuff is functions, and it's really confusing.
Okay.
We use these same symbols to mean different things depending on where they're placed in the score. All of these things that we're talking about today happen inside a measure, or they happen to change something that's in a key signature. You know, so say you're in the key of G, and you have, just for example, you probably all of us know that there's one sharp. But, you know, so what happens if all of a sudden you want to put a G7 chord in there and you have to have an F natural? Well, you have to have that natural symbol inside the measure to change the note. So the chromatics that we're talking about today are the functions to change notes of a diatonic scale, right? To make life easy, I just gave you a diatonic scale starting on A. Next week, you'll realize that I gave you an A minor scale and didn't tell you it was an A minor. I just told you it was a musical alphabet from A to A. But because we don't have the formula for it yet, so just forget I said that. The idea is that I wanted you to think that any of those letter names can be changed with those symbols. So the system that we're working in, the chromatic scale, is the way that we change anything that happens in a diatonic scale. Okay. So that, Barry, to end short.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
Yeah, it happens in the measure.
Oh. Yeah.
And then the bar line cancels whatever you did do it, right? Or if you need a natural before you get to the bar line, you got to put the natural sign in there.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. We're not. That's beyond the scope of what we're doing. We're not reading music right now, but it deals with what happens when you read music.
Okay.
Any other questions? This is great. This is really enjoyable.
Yeah.
So,
It is for me.
Yeah, it's great.
I've really enjoyed the what you sent ahead. I've been able to give it a lot of time, and it's been great.
Good, great. I'm glad. If things come up during the week, shoot me an email, and if it doesn't take too long, I'll get back to you. If it's more complicated, I'll let you know. So.
Okay.
Good. All right. So next week, and I hope this recording's still going. So we'll see you next week.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.